So I had to fight Jimmy C for this Smokin' Fight Night thing, and I was like, cool, this will be fun. And then I realized that he had the power of a mug on his side, so I decided to see if I could bring something like that to the table and kind of even the odds. And I was looking at this thing, and I was like, I don't like what this says. And then I turned it around, and I realized this is exactly what I needed. Anyway, so it's a best of five from Gens 1 through 5, and we started with 3 because that is the one he is most known for, and maybe the one I'm most known for. I don't know. So, yeah, he did a video on this already. It is very entertaining. He compared Gen 2 to the Barry Lyndon of Pokemon metagames, which is so true because many people would rather go to hell than play GSC. So, yeah, I will now offer my own perspective for all the moronic moves I made. I was like, why do people want to watch me play? It's like, oh, because I'm going to do stupid things. Anyway, so I lead off with Hariyama because I was like, come on, of course I'm going to lead off with Hariyama. And I made all but my Gen 4 teams like 2 seconds before the game. Like, I was literally telling him, hang on, wait with the challenge. I have to put these things together and put EVs on them and think of nicknames, too. The most important part, of course. So I'm playing into my own stereotypes. Because, well, there are reasons for that, but I will leave those to your imagination. So I'm leading off with Hariyama, and I get met with a Tyranitar lead. So of course I'm knocking off. And the thought did cross my mind, like, is he going to be that guy who attacks Hariyama with T-Tar? And then I was like, no, he's not. For all I know, it's not even a T-Tar that can actually hurt Hariyama. But yeah, if I knock off a T-Tar, that's fine, especially because, speaking of my own stereotypes, I have paired this Hariyama with a Wish Blissey, so it lives forever. So in comes Groovy the Salamence, and dodges EQ because Flygon will not want a Toxic Hariyama because it might get obliterated by a Guts Cross Chop, and I am Thick Fat Hariyama, even though it's offensive, which, honestly, I forgot to change it to Guts. I would have used Guts if I don't know, maybe Fire Blast is better on this team so I can pivot into Mix Ments. So in that sense, it does have a purpose. But it's an offensive Hariyama. So it's simply because I want the max attack HP bug so Celebi doesn't run all over me because the team is not that. I mean, it has plenty of ways to hit hard, but it's not fast-paced enough to disrupt something with the bulk of Celebi. So this is a Mix Ments, and I figured without lefties, Flygon is probably not protecting, and he doesn't know if it's Band or DD or Mix. I mean, the assumption if it's coming into Flygon is Mix because it threatens it most directly, whereas defensive Flygon, like I assume this is, having switched into Hariyama, will actually switch into physical Salamence. I mean, with if it is a physical Salamence, because I did think about making a DD on this team as a finisher to go along with all the knockoff chip, then yeah, if it was physical, then obviously Flygon being knocked off is really good. But the thing is that you're still not going to switch into it this early in the game when it's fully healthy. So even if it is physical, then you aren't going to show it. You're going to double out. And with Mix, you can attack. But you can also double out. So this way, he still won't know. I wasn't expecting the protect, but he winds up going for it. And I will be totally honest. I was not really thinking about the rest of his team. I was thinking, like, this is casual fun. I was like, is he going to bring a Skarmory? And as soon as I saw the bulky Flygon, I was like, okay, there's definitely something. Because, bulky Flygon is not a team you use. It's not a Pokemon you use on, like, super fun teams. Usually. I still had faith that after they saw the Skarmory, I was like, alright, are we going to see something cool? And, yeah, so now I tell him to check out my movie. And everyone watching, too. And I go to Blissey and take nothing from the -1 EQ because I did not want Hariyama to sustain damage unnecessarily. And if there is a Skarm, then it's probably going to come in on Blissey, so I can start chipping at it with Seismic Toss. I have a Claydol, so I can spin away spikes alongside the Hariyama. So there's a Protect, which I was not really understanding, because, like, you don't think there's going to be a magneton, sure, so it's not riskless, but at the same time, why not? So, I mean, unless you're really just getting every piece of leftovers you can, which of course I respect, but yeah, so I go for Ice Beam for not a very good reason here. I was like, oh, you know what, Ice Beam can also crit or freeze, so it's a better idea, and then I was like, oh, it also does less than Seismic Toss, so my head is definitely not in the game. I was late to the game, too. I felt, I was like, what am I, some kind of teenager? But I did have plans that, so I wound up showing up like 15, 20 minutes past time, so I felt bad about it, even though I did alert them the day before, so that I was going to be a little late. So at least I was mature in that regard. That's very important. Anyway, so now Articuno comes out, and now we are seeing the cool stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, I like seeing Articuno, because Articuno used to be a pretty underrated Ice Beam, Roar, Rest Talk Pokemon, a la Zapdos, but with its own special set of attributes that really suited to Spike's abuse. But then, you know, Sleep Talk was discovered to be terrible in 2015, and yeah, it works on Suicune and Zapdos, because Suicune and Zapdos are amazing Pokemon. Articuno, not so much. So I S-Toss and go first, so I already know it's Roaring, and in comes Bobby Altman, the greatest. I love his movies. Three Women is my favorite. And I recently did a nice little double bill of Nashville and The Player, so I have gotten all his major works out of the way. Big fan. I've seen like 7. I'm going to see like 5 more. He's amazing. Anyway, I really enjoyed the battle chat in this. And you can see it in Jimmy's video because he covered it. But I did not feel like adjusting the dimensions to include that. Plus, this video is going to be long enough as is because I already don't want to overanalyze it, but I just can't help myself, so I'm going into all the details. Yeah, but I really like when someone gets mad, like not just in this in the battle chat, which happened later in this one, I think, but even like in the Smog Tours Discord or whatever, when someone gets mad that I'm talking about movies and not Pokemon, and I really enjoy just them getting so upset that someone's talking about something other than Pokemon, and it just makes them uncomfortable to the point where they have to talk about it. Oh, I love that. So I'm not going to be this petty, I hope, because you know, New Year and everything. But I did have that vindictive idea pop into my head. Like, you know what? Every time you talk, I'm going to, you know, respond to you specifically with something about a movie. It's like, and I think in this chat I said something like, try caring about something other than Pokemon. Yeah. Yeah, so I spin because I calced, and there's no way. It's max HP Articuno from how much it took from Seismic Toss, so it's not going to be max special attack. And even if it is max special attack, because I was like, oh, is he using some sort of cool max special attack Articuno? Some sort of new age Ice Beam, Roar, HP Grass, Heal Bell kind of thing. And I was like, okay, if it's that, it's not going to be 0 speed, max HP, max special attack. And even then I can live it. And, you know, worst case, I'll get the spin-off. So I get the spin-off and the Articuno Ice Beams, and Bobby Altman dies immediately. Which is so ironic, because Robert Altman lived and was making movies for quite a long time. So the Scarm is going to get Spikes back up uncontested at some point, which sucks, because otherwise it would be a lot more manageable. But, and this is especially cogent because of one of the Pokemon I have on my team, one I never use normally. So in comes Flygon. I'm like, okay, I've had enough of this nonsense. I'm just going to bash this thing down. I'll wish to it later because Blissey counters everything. And he decides he does not want part of this, and I Brick Break, and I get a pretty nasty crit on the Moltres. But now I'm going to stay in, because I'm like, hey, I have Thick Fat. This is actually going to work out. So I'm just going to knock this thing off, mainly because I have a Metagross, and I want to finish the game with, you know, Metagross. So once Flygon took that Brick Break on the previous turn, then it's in Meteor Mash range. So, and you know, if I knock, and Metagross obviously beats Tyranitar, and obviously destroys Articuno. And as soon as I see Moltres, I'm like, okay, the last Pokemon has to be Zapdos, right? You're not going to be lame and run like a real Pokemon, right? Well, not that Zapdos isn't a real Pokemon, but a Pokemon that, you know, covers your bases and, you know, takes on the metagame. Ugh. Nonsense like that. No, come on, you gotta use the 3 birds. So I assume that, and my Metagross has Rock Slide, so I can make my way through that. So it's just all about cleaning or making. Setting up the field for Metagross late game. So knocking off Moltres, because it does have Rock Slide, yeah, but I also want Moltres to die slowly so I don't have to So it's one less thing I have to contend with, directly. If I can just switch around and take its fire moves and, watch it die as, with each turn, then that's perfect. So he launches an overheat and misses, and I'm like, you deserve that, you Claydol critting Australian. God, I was going to do an Australian accent, and then I was like, you know what? I have not practiced. I'm not going to. As much as I would love the Australian pass to drop the big C bomb that they love doing, because it's something different over there. It's affectionate, yeah. God, I was thinking of this one Australian joke on 30 Rock, which I will not get into now, but it's hilarious. Anyway, so he misses overheat, and it wasn't going to KO because I do have special defense investment alongside Thick Fat. But yeah, obviously, I just wanted the knock, but that's a bad miss. I'm not actually vindictive about, he crit my Claydol. I mean, if this was a serious game, then yes, I would be very annoyed, but yeah, not to say that we are, talking the height of dedicated competition and whatnot. Yeah, so in comes Skarmory, and I just want this dead too. Again, Metagross can make its way through it, but not just Metagross, but the other Pokemon. Oh, Kev, why the suspense? Why are you, pulling a whole Hitchcock thing regarding the nature of your last Pokemon? Well, because it's kind of shameful. And it's kind of like when you watch your favorite movies over and over and you know something's going to happen, but you're just like, no, don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. Yeah, so in comes Moltres again, losing health, and this time he crits me because of course he does. I've had enough of this nonsense. I'm going to deport him to New Zealand. Actually, New Zealand is supposed to be very nice. I don't know why that would be a punishment, but, I'm ripping him out of his homeland or something. But yeah, I think he said something in his video, like I was too busy thinking about my movie and not the battle, which is not inaccurate. Anyway, so in comes my movie again, and he reveals his last to be Jirachi, which is lame. Because his team would be pretty good with Zapdos over Jirachi. I mean, it wouldn't be optimal, but hey, neither is actually, my team's not bad. I don't know if it's optimal or whatever. Not that isn't the most subjective thing in the world anyway. But yeah, now we're it's all right. So yeah, Articuno gets wished to, and I throw up more wishes just so whatever he roars me into, hopefully I just get. If he goes to Mence, then it's a moot point, and I have to run because this is not a Rock Slide mix Mence. Although he doesn't know. He doesn't even know that I'm not a Rock Slide physical. Well, now that he's revealed lefties, then he knows I could be DD. So he makes a great move and goes to T-Tar. I'm either going to check for that Rock Slide or I'm going to, maybe scare out the Blissey. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, it's a very bulky team, but he still doesn't really have a Wisp Gengar answer. Like, yeah, Articuno's bulky and Jirachi's bulky and Moltres absorbs Will-O-Wisp, but you have a Flygon and a Skarmory. You need something to concretely, directly deal with Wisp Gengar. This is a Pursuit Tar. I'm going to call that it is not going to scare or do anything too scary. And even if it does something scarier, then I'll throw up a Wish, and I have Mence and Metagross, so I can handle any physical variant this is going to throw at me. Because Mence Metagross synergy is just the most beautiful thing in the world. So I just, I don't even throw up a Wish. Excuse me, I S-Toss. And he immediately gets a Spadef drop because horrifying. Yeah, but since I can't really punish him with Toxic or T-Wave, if there is a variant that Special T-Tar could feasibly make its way through, then it would be, a statusless version. But yeah, he's just, he goes for Ice Beam trying to snipe my Salamence. I'm like, oh, good to know it's that, but I'm not gonna... Yeah, because I don't really... It's really just... Metagross should beat pretty much everything except Moltres, and Moltres I can handle with Mence and my last, so it's so Blissey is kind of on the expendable side, if I can, but his team is not actually hitting Blissey hard directly. It relies on Spike's pressure, and there's my last. There's the unviable one, named so because it is unviable. It's so terrible. Obviously I'm exaggerating, but I do think Snorlax is a horrible, horrible Pokemon. And speaking of my own stereotypes, this is exactly why I brought Snorlax. See, Hariyama's amazing, and Snorlax is awful. Actually, you know what? Snorlax is good when paired with Blissey. Using Snorlax alongside, not alongside Blissey, now that is truly unviable. But yeah, because Blissey absorbs status and takes no damage from everything and wishes all over the place, and Snorlax cannot get that same support from Jirachi or Salamence or Vaporeon. So... I mean, the status thing alone, my god. Yeah, so I EQ just to, because if Moltres comes in and launches an overheat, this is actually immunity Snorlax, which is important because I didn't know it was Body Slam. I didn't want to take a Toxic. So if Moltres comes in, or Flygon comes in, then I want them out of the way anyway, because, Flygon, yeah, even though Metagross can beat it at this point, then it's still an EQ I don't want to take. So if I EQ into Flygon or Moltres, and I actually, then they stay in, and I remove them, then that is worthwhile. So I just EQ there, playing it safe. And I was thinking about Body Slamming here, just to mess with Jirachi, trying to wish and maybe get a para, or maybe, because obviously hitting Flygon or Moltres on the switch is better than taking a hit from them before you kill them. But at the same time, don't get greedy, don't lose sight of the greater picture. You can maintain the condition, which is, keeping Jirachi low, or, force the Flygon versus, or Moltres versus Snorlax matchup, which you want. So this way I talk about in my videos a lot, forget the prediction, force the actual conditions that you want, the positioning. This is a good example. Because you don't want to get caught up in, oh, well, I think it's going to switch, I think it's going to stay in. It's like, well, what is the most important thing? The most important thing is setting things up for Metagross. So with that in mind, then Flygon and Moltres coming in, then absolutely. And otherwise, and you don't want Jirachi to necessarily beat you one-on-one. So, yeah, Flygon comes in, and obviously I'm going to say I Body Slam. I didn't, I EQ'd. And now it's going to EQ and do nothing, because I think this Snorlax is actually max defense, funnily enough. And the funny thing is that with Flygon coming in there, as opposed to Moltres, then now I can take out both Flygon and Moltres, so Metagross is just good to go. Even Salamence is looking pretty solid at this point. T-Tar's in Brick Break range, and Jirachi's taking a big hit, and it didn't take much from EQ, so it's not going to be very well off in taking Fire Blast either. So yeah, I get to take out both Flygon and Moltres. If there was a reason to Body Slam, it'd be to catch Moltres on the switch, so you can then take out Flygon. But, again, not necessary, because Salamence and Metagross together. So Overheat actually does 1 billion, because I don't have any special defense investment. God, Snorlax is so terrible. But it isn't full para, so I take out Moltres, and now it's just going to be Brain Dead, Peter Jackson's masterpiece. Better than Lord of the Rings. Better than all 3 of the extended cuts of the Lord of the Rings combined. Yeah, I love Brain Dead, because I am. As I just EQ my way through, and I don't get Body Slam parried or Fire Punch burned, bless. And party's over. Speaking of New Zealand, actually, as I run over Articuno and T-Tar with a lawnmower. What a beautiful scene. Affirmation of life. Anyway, so yeah, I go for Mash, and that is the first one, so GG. Someone asked me after, like, hey, why did you Meteor Mash? Wasn't it more optimal to EQ or Explode? It's like, yeah, it was, but I wanted to click Meteor Mash. I can't say I was really being optimal. I just wanted to see Metagross use Meteor Mash on Tyranitar and KO it. That's why. Obviously, EQ or... But, I mean, seeing as Salamence plus Blissey, then it was... yeah. Not really a problem. Okay, so Gen 5, I bring Scarf Gyarados Rain because Scarf Gyarados is awesome and cool and should be used more, so this is my contribution to Gen 5 OU for 2024. Yeah, so he's running Hyper Offense, though thankfully not an obnoxious Cloyster in sight. Instead, he's got another Ice type of debatable tiering status. So he leads off with Cure in Black. I just assume Choice Band. Because Magnezone. So I lead off with Nastasia Kinski, who is so beautiful and such an astonishing actress as well. And I wish she had gotten better roles and better movies, because she's been in some, she's been in one of the best movies ever, Paris, Texas, and some other good to decent movies. But she should have just been knocking him out of the park with one astonishing film after another. They should have given her more. They should have given her better. And, yeah, so my heart goes out to Nastasia. She was outstanding. Yeah, did a lot without having to do a lot, Anyway, so Nastasia is going to go for Protect here because she should have been protected better. And Kyurem uses Fusion Bolt. And I'm like, okay, banned. Well, this is going to KO my Politoed. But I don't think that Jim... This is a little on the risky side, but I also have to take some risk into consideration in a high-octane battle like this where you're dealing with, Gen 5 hyper-offense, i.e. insane stuff going all over the place. So I don't think that he's just going to Fusion Bolt into my Ferrothorn and then, let me get a bunch of layers and start going crazy. With Thundurus, for example. Thundurus, Gyarados against the Magnezone. So, even my Latios, of course. So, I don't see that happening. So, I wanted to try and scald the Magnezone on the Switch. I just didn't see the Fusion Bolt coming. But it is important because Magnezone standard set runs HP Fire. HP Fire. Obviously HP Fire, but also Sunny Day. So, you can beat Ferrothorn in Rain. It's either that or run Specs. I like Specs. Magnezone, Specs Ferrothorn, but most people are going to run Sunny Day. So I actually do want to keep Politoed around. So I was thinking, okay, I should... Also, Magnezone Volcarona. Jeez Louise. That's not synergy you see often. But yeah, I was thinking, okay, there's not really a risk to going to Ferrothorn, but I would like to get Rocks and Spikes if possible. I don't think he's just going to let me get both because it is going to be a pain for Starmie to do that. So I just go for a Scald. And Kyurem winds up subbing, and I'm like, okay, that's not great but not awful because this means it's not banded, so I can take a Fusion Bolt and I can Encore him. And then I can get Ferrothorn in there. Now, I don't know if he's going to double to Magnezone or not. So I go to Latios instead, which can take the Fusion Bolts, and it does not fear Magnezone, obviously. So I Surf to break the sub, because this is Calm Mind, Recover Lumberry, a.k.a. the Rain Destroyer. And now Aerodactyl comes in as I recover. And... yeah, I was not even thinking about bluffing choice there. I thought it was clear that I was not. But he was thinking, oh, isn't that going to be Scarf? Which makes sense now that I think about it, because, like, what, are you going to run Scarf, Thundurus, or Gyarados? And the Politoed isn't. So, by process of elimination, it doesn't make the most sense. But, in fact, it is Scarf Gyarados, because Scarf Gyarados is awesome. So, there's not really much to do to stop Arrow from doing its thing. So I Surf, and he Stone Edges first, actually, which is a great move, because it puts me more on edge, because now he might get Rocks on the Switch, so he winds up getting more out of it, as opposed to Rocks, then Stone Edge. Now he Stone Edges, and then Latios switches, and then, Rocks go up, and then he damages something else. Or, even better, preserves Arrow for Death Fodder. I mean, that was a really great, very heads-up move by Jim to Stone Edge there. But I decide, look, he's rocking here. And if he doesn't rock, then he doesn't have Rocks up, so I will take it. So... especially because Tentacruel is such a pain for him to switch into, so I can just go to that and then spin, and if he switches to whatever, it's like, what's he going to switch to that's really going to threaten me? So, yeah, so I stay in and Surf, and he, of course, goes for Rocks. So, that was a really nice play, and I'm glad that it did not bite me. So, I send in Ana de Armas, the queen of our modern times. And Ice Beam, of course, because Ice Beam, as long as it doesn't have Psyshock... well, no, sorry. As long as it doesn't have Life Orb Psyshock, then I'm fine. And as long as he doesn't use it on the Switch. And it's Balloon, so now Psyshock. I think there was like a very, very low chance I died to Psyshock, like 6.25, 12.5, something like that. But I was like, you know what? You can't like protect to be 100% out of range, because that could be wasteful. And not to mention that Psyshock is not even guaranteed on this kind of Starmie. Generally, they run Bolt Beam. So Thunderbolt, bounces off, doing less than half. And I just got a text. Is it important or not? Do I go for Rapid Spin or Protect here? Yeah, that was a silly move on my end. That was losing a lot of... okay, that's not important. Yeah. Kyurem comes in. Yeah, that Protect was very passive of me. I should have gone to Starmie. Well, I guess Magnezone could have come in. But I think I should have Scalded. You know why? It's not just to hit Magnezone. It's also if Starmie stays in, then it is closer to being in Scarf Waterfall range for Gyarados, which is a very realistic win path here. So, yeah, Scald was definitely a better move. Or Toxic, whatever. If it's Analytic Starmie, I could have calced that. If it's Analytic, then Toxic is fine. If Scald is fine either way, honestly. It's actually probably better because it's more immediate. And would have hit Kyurem for a little damage. And Kyurem, another Pokemon you want to knock into Scarf Gyarados Waterfall range. So yeah, Scalding there would have been great. So now I don't know if it's slower or faster. but I decide I'm going to say it in Scald, because if it subs, then and it's faster, then I'll at least have done enough damage to the sub, so then I can go to Ferrothorn and start setting up hazards, and then a Power Whip will break the sub, and I'll be fine from there. I'm fine with sacrificing a bunch of Pokemon, because then my offensive Pokemon are so scary that they will be able to finish it off. So, I go for Scald. I'm actually faster. This is a plus speed Tentacruel, so I guess it was a neutral speed Kyurem Black. And it Fusion Bolts, and I don't get the burn, but turns out he was Lumberry anyway, so... in comes Latios to drop a very free Draco, and turns out you didn't need to Scald the Starmie anyway because it gets obliterated there. But there you go. There's more reason to check out my movie. So I do feel bad that I was not able to use Ana de Armas as well as I could have. But, you know, she did just such an incredible job switching into Starmie, taking less than half from Thunderbolt. I mean, good lord, what a woman. So, in comes Ryan Gosling, of course, because of the Pharaoh Cruel pairing, just, you know, bringing Blade Runner into the battle. And this does not have lefties because, God, alright, that is actually more of an important text, but it's also not immediately life and death, so, yeah, let's move this along. Okay, so this is a Lum Ferrothorn to absorb Will-O-Wisp from Rotom Wash and destroy it with Power Whip, and then open the game up for Gyarados, as well as not have to deal with a burned Ferrothorn. So, but here I'm just going up for Rocks, and he goes for Dragon Pulse, not wanting to risk Draco. So, Rocks go up, Sunny Day, Spikes, fine. And this actually is kind of a pain to deal with, because I do not have Focus Blast on Thundurus. I have, it's Nasty Plot Protect, which is a very cool set, but if I had Focus Blast, then that would have been nice. But I also get to just stall this thing out with Recover Latios. So, Volt Switch there. I was not expecting Volt Switch, I was expecting the standard of T-Bolt, HP Fire. And, I don't know, Thunder Wave maybe is common in the last slot. But, yeah, I think Volt Switch actually is a cool, or a Flash Cannon is actually pretty good too, just so you can do something to Gliscor, Lando T, T-Tar. But yeah, I was expecting something like that, and if it is T-Wave, fine, I'll get my Latios paralyzed, but I have the hazards now, so Kyurem isn't going to be a problem, and I'm gonna sit on the Magnezone anyway. I mean, I have Calm Mind, so. But yeah, instead Latios gets Volt Switched into, and in comes Nastasia once again doing her part, like when she tried to save one from the heart from the disaster that it was. She came close. So in comes Alan Delon, who is the Ryan Gosling of the 60s. What a handsome man. And this inspiration to us all comes in, and I misuse him a little bit too, kind of like La Piscine, which is a great movie, but it could have been so much. It could have been better, I think. I really enjoyed it, but I could have gotten more out of it. And the problem here is actually no. I thought about this, and no, this was actually the correct way to do things. Because what I do here is I go for a Thunder. And what I was thinking about was I don't want Magnezone to come in on HP Ice and set up Sun, and because it's not really about the Sun being up, because that'll go away. It's more about making sure that about maintaining the rain for, I guess it's kind of saying the same thing, but I want to maintain the rain for Gyarados so that I can break through Kyurem Black, which even with Rocks and Spikes is very physically bulky, so I want to be able to mash my way through that. So I was thinking Magnezone's going to come on HP Ice, but then I was thinking it's also, you know, kind of, Latios isn't going to be switching out of Thunderous T, which is probably going to 2-hit KO, so just to try and, because he doesn't know I don't have Focus Blast. So it was kind of foolish in that regard, but then I was also thinking, okay, but think of like this. Now, okay, so I have, so this wound up being the better move because it does cover everything. Well, we'll get there. I'm trying to not jump ahead of myself. Okay, so HP Ice obviously is better because once Latios becomes HP Iced, my Gyarados has special defense investment. So it takes Draco Meteor without special defense anyway, but it's not 2 KO by Dragon Pulse and it's not O-Code by Draco Meteor. So HP Ice puts it into Waterfall range, and then I Scarf Waterfall everything because I also have Moxie, so it gets even stronger. And obviously Volcarona dies hilariously, Kyurem Black dies, Magnezone dies. So what happens is that HP Ice puts Latios into waterfall range, right? But here's the thing. Thunder also tries to pair Latios if it does stay in, which is why it's also a decent move, and it also does a lot more to Magnezone. I don't even know if it 2 KO'd on the Switch. I just kind of assumed. Also kind of foolish of me, but it's obviously much better to Thunder the Magnezone than to HP Ice. Either way. Just for, odds, para, stronger crits, stuff like that. So, plus it's, come on, it's thunderous. But yeah, so what happens here is that Latios will now... Okay, so let's say I'm going to sack my own Latios here, right? And I'm going to Gyarados. Actually, I protect first just to, help against Dragon Pulse. But what happens here is now I go to Gyarados. Gyarados is not 2-hit KO'd by Dragon Pulse, right? So, if Latios stays in, I Waterfall it. I don't KO it from this range, but I put it into Stealth Rock range. So, what happens is, Latios stays in Dragon Pulses, I am not 2-hit KO'd, and I put it into Stealth Rock range. So then it has to stay in and die, or switch out and die, right? So it winds up working out anyway. And if the Latios switches out to whatever gets sacrificed, barring Volcarona Flame Body Burn, then I still don't die to Draco Meteor when it comes back in, and I get a Moxie boost on whatever switches in, and then I really KO Latios when it comes back in for rocks. The rocks were going to put it over the edge anyway. But yeah, so basically Gyarados is in prime position to sweep with Waterfall here, right? And then I think, oh my god, is that Magnezone Custat Berry? And the problem, well, there are a couple of problems here. Number one, Chople Berry is a million times more likely. That's way more useful on a game-to-game basis. Number two, if I was going to think about Custat Berry, I should have thought about it before committing to this plan. And yeah, there is, and then at this point I should have just committed, because what happens is he's gonna Sunny Day as I switch just to be on the safe side. I still think I win is the thing, but Waterfall makes it just a no doubter. So here's Sunny Day, and here I protect again. And I was thinking about yeah, the problem is maybe I should have sacked. Should have sacked... Well, I guess it kind of comes down to the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't... even if I sacked... Yeah, maybe I should have sacked Thundurus T to Magnezone and then gone to Gyarados and Waterfalled. Yeah, I should have just nasty plotted. Yeah, so, and if he switches to Latios, then the game comes down to what it comes down to anyway, which is that I have to hit a bunch of Stone Edges. So, yeah, I should have gone with that plan. But yeah, I actually pivot to Gyarados, named after Monica Vitti, the queen of the 60s. Oh my god, she's my crush. She's gorgeous. And an extraordinary actress. Her work has affected me very profoundly, very deeply. And, yeah, so I feel bad that I have misused so many of my favorites in this game. Yeah, so I'm still out of Draco range, is the thing, because I have enough speed to outrun Alakazam, and then the rest goes into special defense, specifically for Latios and, Alakazam and stuff. So, yeah, but the thing is, one more turn of Sun means that Waterfall does not KO, even at +1. So I have to sack Thundurus, which does not block Fusion Bolt, because Terra Volt goes through Volt Absorb. A lot of Volt there. And now I go to Gyarados, and I have to hit a bunch of Stone Edges. Well, it's not necessarily that simple, because Dragon Pulse still, I don't think, it's a very low chance to a KO, so I can miss one. And if I hit Latios on the first time, then Volcarona doesn't even KO me back. So it's not I have to hit 3 consecutive Stone Edges, it's like I have to hit 3 Stone Edges out of a couple tries. But it's a roll with Dragon Pulse anyway, and it winds up critting me and getting the roll to KO, so I don't even get that chance. But we both were kind of goofy in this one. So yeah, now we go on to Gen 2, the Barry Lyndon of... well, this is very not Barry Lyndon because it's very fast-paced. So I lead off with Snorlax, and I just start double-edging. And I go to Monica, named after, to try and get some revenge for Monica Vitti. Someone was like, is that Monica from Friends? And I was like, how dare you? So I'm getting spikes, and now I'm like, oh, there's a Gengar coming and trying to absorb my Toxic, so I Surf, and it rules, and I see there's no item, so there's going to be a Thief coming, and fortunately I have Moltres, which is awesome. Not just because it's awesome, but because it means that Gengar does not steal lefties from something else, and the Gengar is not healing, and it's awesome. And I just said awesome a bunch because my brain is starting to deteriorate because it's Friday. God, leave me alone. So I Fire Blast, and the one negative about losing my Charcoal is that Moltres no longer has the power to break through Snorlax with Sun. So this sunny day, it was just me clicking and not thinking at all, and just going, oh, I want to see the big move do a lot of damage. And, like, yeah, cool, admirable and whatnot, but I should have gone to Golem. This was just needless with Moltres, so very goofy. Plus, I wanted to see how much Sunny Fire Blast does without Charcoal. And still, I mean, a very respectable chunk, 42, but you're not going to be beating Rest Talk Snorlax in this without it, you know, in this position anyway. You know, if it had rested and then switched in later, and it was sleeping and, you know, had to rely on Sleep Talks more, then, you know, fine. But, yeah, fortunately, we see Moltres' awesome bulk on full display. And, yeah, Snorlax. So Sun runs out, and I have 0 turns of Sleep Burned, which sucks. But Snorlax, thanks to Double Edge, is also weakening itself a little. So now Ryan Golem comes in and threatens a spin. And he goes to Gengar, and I was like, okay. Alright, like, your Cloyster's not even, I was a little annoyed by this, because Cloyster's not even toxic. Risky, and I was like, does that have HP Grass or Water? No way. And, but I should have listened to my instincts, because I didn't expect... I think, if you spin block Gengar with Golem, you should have HP Grass or Water. Or if you're not pivoting out after. Because if you stay in... Or Destiny Bond, I guess. So I guess I didn't want to get debonded either. But just to stay in an Ice Punch, that was like, that's either a very brazen prediction, or he knows that I'm going to be careful and check for it. In which case, I mean, that works too. Either or. So I was like, I don't want Zapdos to get blown up on. Or, I didn't think the Gengar was going to stay in and just risk itself. But, he knows that I'm going to, that I'm not going to let Zapdos get blown up on. I mean, it's not a Rest Hog Zapdos or anything, but, yeah, I should have EQ'd, should have T-bolted, so I make the same mistake twice. And, yeah, my Gengar is also itemless, and what's worse, it has HP Grass, and because of the way DVs, which is what IVs used to be in the first 2 gens, work in the first 2 gens, then it really, or in Gen 2, then the HP Grass kills your bulk. It is nothing, so I'm getting hit really hard, and I don't have T-Bolt, so I have to Ice Punch, and now I'm in such a bad position I have to rely on a Speed type, so, yeah, I was not in love with that sequence. Maybe I should have pivoted back to Golem on that T-Bolt. That's also a possibility. Or to Zapdos and just said, okay, I'll take it. But yeah, that was fortunate. And now I blow up on this Jinx and I don't want it to do anything. So Gengar actually does great work, even though I messed up a little bit. Yeah, yeah. Fortune reversing after Gen 5, maybe. I don't know. So... yeah, I go to Zapdos really just to get more lefties on it, because I don't have Rest on it, so I have to play more craftily with it. So we both go to our Laxes, hilariously, and now I don't have a way to... oh, that was a great move, doubling to Golem. Because he knew I was going to... why didn't I just Double Edge? Come on, Kev, that was very sloppy. Because it covers... you know, provoke the Snorlax into being weakened for Moltres and Zapdos, and if Cloyster comes in, you hit that. So going to Golem was just greedy. That was very unnecessary. So that, yeah, I don't care for that lack of Double Edge. So, yeah, great move by Jim there going to Cloyster, and now I have to hope that... well, no, I go to my... actually, it's not that bad, though, because if I was going to lose something key to a boom, it'd be way worse. But... my Cloyster is still healthy enough to where I can, well, my Cloyster is still healthy enough to where I can switch in and take a Surf and then blow up myself. And whatever I blow up, you know, the Gengar is gone, so whatever I hit is going to be way... either we trade our Cloysters, which is fine by me, or I get something more valuable. Both are fine. So can the music play, please? Thank you. Yeah, so then that Cloyster's Surf crits, which, you know, fair enough, but I still have the Speed tie, so... I don't know if he's going to stay in and go for it again, but instead he goes to Nidoking, and I blow that up, so you know what, I'll take that. Now, of course, it does mean that he still has the opportunity to do the same with his own Cloyster to me, but hey, I mean, I got the Nidoking out of the way, it's nice, and now I don't think Cloyster's coming in there because of the Zapdos. So, and I did not, here's how little I was paying attention. I'd like to think a couple of years ago anyway. I see that team, I'm like, oh, I know what team that is. I used to spam that all the time. That is an HP Water Zapdos. Don't send Golem into it. And what do? I send Golem in because I'll think, oh, it's just regular Zapdos, LOL. And I live HP Water and get the spin-off, which, great. But now I have a wasted Golem. And as opposed to, get it on Snorlax, get a spin-off, maybe get a boom-off. But no, now Golem is going to be death fodder. So, yeah, very, very poorly done on my part there. But I try to make up for it here because I make a good move, because I know Cloyster's coming in here because, oh, it's a safe move, Snorlax, right? So I'm going to go to Zapdos. And, yeah, speaking of my own stereotypes, talking about unviable Suicune, because I made a video about how Zapdos is necessary on GSC teams, or you're just being worse, and by the same rationale, Suicune, so, unfortunately. So, yeah, Zapdos is mandatory on all GSC teams, and I'm sorry if you have not seen the light. Yeah, so I pivot to Zapdos there. Worst case, I take an HP Water. Who cares? Now I know that his doesn't rest either, then he's not going to be too thrilled about taking Thunders from me either. And he's also less bulky because HP Water also cuts into your bulk way more than HP Ice. So I get Cloyster in, and because I'm also Whirlwind Zapdos, we're running the same set, then I Whirlwind here, and I hopefully Dragon Cloyster, and I do. Wonderful. And you see how quickly this gets very, very uncomfortable for Snorlax, especially because it hasn't burned any turns of sleep. So now I just T-Bolt, just to show him that I have it. Just to say, oh, you can't even bank on a Thunder Mist. No, this is T-Bolt. It's T-Bolt Thunder, of course, but yeah. His is leftovers. I remember originally on that team, I like to run Magnet, but yeah, so T-Bolt again, and I'm just going to say, look, double edge yourself into range. I dare you. And if you don't, then I can just T-Bolt and Thunder and KO you. So the roll, okay, so I should not have done this. Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I should have Whirlwind. It's fine, either way. I'm not going to get too far into it. But I go for Thunder here because Thunder is a roll to KO. Not a great roll, but a roll. And I'm like, look, whenever you have a chance to kill Snorlax, then you take it. So I go for it. And I mean, the only reason why I'm saying this instead of like going to Golem or something. I mean, going to Golem if you sleep on Double Edge is stupid. So actually, no, never mind. I did not make the... I guess the distinction was between Thunder and Whirlwind, which... fine. I go for Thunder. I don't get the clean KO, but if he rests, okay, fine, he rests. If he curses, then, he's dead. And if he double edges, I live, and he dies to recoil. Unfortunately, he crits the double edge. I can't really complain about that, though, given earlier events. So, fair. So, Zap goes down as well. Now, I go to Cloyster. No, I don't go to Cloyster. I go to Snorlax to match up better against, because if he goes to Cloyster, he's going to spike first, so I get a free double edge on it. And then I get to use Golem as a spike sack. I mean, not that it makes too much of a difference, but basically, now I will sack the Golem. I don't think he's going to surf anyway, but you don't want to get too much into it. So the point here is that no matter what Moltres pulls here, it's a good sleep talk into Cloyster, because either it Fire Blasts, and the worst case is you Fire Blast and miss, obviously. But yeah, you either Fire Blast and hopefully hit, you Sunny Day, which weakens Surf, or you Rest, and that gives you more chances to do it. Because, yes, okay, so here's the first example. Sleep Talk, Rest, and Surf goes down, right? Okay, well, that sucks. Well, you can kind of keep doing this over and over, barring Surf crits, especially because Fire Blast hits Cloyster so hard. So, I didn't do the exact calc. But yeah, good sleep talks are a thing of beauty, and that is why this Moltres, one of the many reasons why this Moltres set rules. So I now preserve Moltres. I don't know why I did that. Why I didn't just sack it and just stay safe with Snorlax. That was almost very goofy of me, especially with the famed Full Para there. And T-Bolt, not quite going to get it done, and Rest. And now the rest is just Snorlax not... I mean, there has to be some sense of caution exercised here. And, yeah, in the previous turn I Sleep Talk, Double Edge, and then another one, because the Zapdos isn't resting, so... Yeah, and this is why a Double Edge is needed on Rest Talk Snorlax, because otherwise you won't break Zapdos. So, Gen 4. This is the one team I didn't build on the spot right before. This is an old team I made over the summer. And it has its good points, but I also overlooked quite a few things, as will be evident here. First of all, I really should put Extreme Speed on this Raikou, because if this Raikou had Extreme Speed and I could just E-Speed this arrow, you kind of want to put all this coverage on it. And then, I mean, whatever coverage you pick whatever coverage you lose is going to suck. But then you run in a situation like this against Arrow, and you're like, oh, they'll respect my E-speed. They'll switch out, and then they don't, and you just feel like you wasted a very good Raikou, which otherwise would have been an absolute terror. So yeah, I don't feel great about that. So in comes Scizor. I don't want it to SD because my team does not do great against it. I kind of I like the offensive synergy this team has, but I did not cover all my bases on the physically defensive side. That's my problem. It's too much focused on too focused on special offensive stuff without enough of a physical backbone, or enough ways to compensate for its lack of a physical backbone, I should say, in terms of ways to hit the physical attackers harder. So I stay and just threaten it with a big T-Bolt. And now I go to Jirachi, which is Calm Mind, HP Fire, and it's modest, and Porygon 2 comes in. And Arrow P2, I mean, P2 is already like, what is going on? But Arrow P2, I have no idea what's happening. So I am going to just modest Psychic my way through this because it's Lum, so I don't fear T-Wave, and I'm just going to say, all right, show me what your answer is to this. Unfortunately, he has a T-Tar, and it's going to be DD, and I am very bad into DD T-Tar. Which is the biggest flaw of this team for sure. And I go for a +1 Draco. I shouldn't have done that either, honestly. Like, the damage, yeah, okay, it's nice, but now I just give him a second DD, and I'm going to be left scrambling around it like a complete idiot. So both team and play are definitely on the flawed side here. So there's, so here's my dance. I go to Gara, take rocks and sand as he DDs again, and now I provoke an attack, and I go to my T-Tar, which can threaten it. And now I go back to Gara on hopefully an EQ, and now it's neutral, and now I go back to T-Tar, and yeah, now I go back to Gara, and do I get it to -1? I do, and now I'm like, okay, well, I can't switch Sack anymore, so I'm just going to stand and make sure he doesn't get a DD, so I Waterfall, and he DDs again, at least he's neutral attack now, but he's Pasho DD, and I was like, what is this? Pasho is never seen on DD. Not that it's unviable or anything. I'm not saying that it's a bad choice. I'm just, if there's Shuka or Chople or Lum, and I mean even occasionally Life Orb, but theoretically Babiri, but that's an ancient set that is not used anymore for good reason. But yeah, like Pasho you see on support T-Tar, sure, all the time, but on DD generally not as much. I mean, I can see why it's useful, but it's yeah, so that caught me off guard, but the answer was not to use EQ there because Shuka is a much, much likelier choice. So, yeah, he's neutral attack, so I go to Jirachi now to withstand an EQ and finish it off with Draco, which is a very ugly way of dealing with DD Tar. Definitely a flaw of this team that would have to be fixed if I were to use it again. So yeah, Draco Jirachi, so cool. So in comes his own Jirachi, and I go to Latias because I'm going to have to trick it no matter what it is, but I'm assuming a Calm Mind if it's going to be on this kind of P2 hyper offense. So I trick, and Celebi comes in, and I see it's a Scarf set, and I'm like, Scarf Celebi, what is this team? I have no idea what I'm looking at. And I assumed it was going to, like, U-turn or something. So I just, yeah, but here's the thing, I take damage on Latias, which is absolutely ridiculous. I get my specs back, which is nice, but I'm not going to really use them because now I eat HP Ice. I should have just gone to T-Tar. So that was very foolish of me. I should have just preserved health on Latias. And now I get 2 KO by HP Ice. Sadly, I'm not cussed Aptar. That would have been amazing. But, yeah, and now I go to Jirachi to scare it out and just HP Fire. Because nothing wants to switch an HP Fire. And I'll take damage. Akka, Calm Mind, Jirachi. I mean, Akka, Jirachi, definitely a great set that used to be used all the time. Mixed, Stealth Rock, special sets. But on Calm Mind, you never saw it. So these T-Tar Jirachi, I mean, the DD-Tar Super Jirachi combo is as classic as you get. But it's something you never really see on both items. So I like that upending of what you're going to be expecting there. So in comes Latias again on HP Fire. Okay, good. So basically, I have to hero mode it with Healing Wishing to Jirachi. Maybe I should have gone to Zapdos here, honestly. No, I don't think so. I don't think it makes enough of a difference. I think I messed it up earlier. But yeah, and then basically I have to try to get everything in range of Heat Wave. Well, from my Scarf Zapdos, which is modest, so it's not the most unrealistic thing. The worst part is that I think I'm going to have to take a Bullet Punch from Scizor first, and then I won't be able to take Celebi's HP Ice. So I don't really know if there's a way around that. So I Calm Minded again because I thought, oh, is it going to try to recover? And then I'm like, okay, I don't want Jirachi switching in, or Scizor switching in, so I'm going to HP Fire a couple times. Or no, I Psychic the second time, and then I take it out, because I'm like, alright, now it's committed to staying in. So now Jirachi comes in, and unfortunately, it is going to leave me in Bug Bite range from Scizor, even though that HP Fire did a lot. God, Modest Jirachi is so cool. So yeah, now Scizor Bug Bites and Bullet Punches, and yeah, sadly Master Exploder is not able to get the job done. As cool as it is, some people were like, oh, this thing should roost, and I'm like, it doesn't have roost. It's scarfed. Yep, so Celebi does finish me off with a crit. H-Phase, that one didn't matter. Yeah. Because even if it did, even if I did live, which is very unlikely, then I don't think I had a great... I had an okay roll to kill with Heat Wave. But I would have died to Sand. Or no, actually, he would have died to Sand first because he's faster, hilariously. So actually, the odds were better than I thought. No, it's fine. Anyway, we're finishing off with RBY. So here is my soapbox about how RBY is not entirely a luck fest. And if you think so, you need to understand the game of Pokemon better. At least relative to other generations. I'm not saying that the crazy stuff doesn't happen in RBY all the time, but I would also advise you to re-examine how you look at other gens. Anyway, I'm very proud of this naming combination. See, I lead off with Dirty Mary and then go to Crazy Larry. And I named these two specifically so Starmie could come in after Chansey, because that's the plan against Jinx lead. So I was hoping that would happen. And it is exactly what happened, because Dirty Mary, Crazy Lazy is a fantastic car chase movie. Some of the best car chases you're going to see, and from the 70s, which is no mean feat given all the crazy stuff that was going on back then. So, yeah, dodge Lovely Kiss, Psychic, burn some sleep, great. I go to my Chansey, which is Sing, Ice Beam, Counter, and I Soft-Boiled. And, yeah, I don't want to reveal Counter yet, but I'm just going to Sing here because it's all I can really do to Jinx, and... I mean, I don't love wasting my Sing on Jinx, but I also don't want to just go to Starmie and get, barraged down. I mean, I'm not really thinking about this at this point. Maybe, in retrospect, I would go to Starmie just so I could burn more turns of sleep and see what I can get done. As opposed to... And then maybe go for the Sing after. Especially because if he goes for Blizzard on Chansey, then I would much rather he burn some of his 8 Blizzard PP on Starmie, as opposed to getting all 8 on Chansey if Sing is not friendly enough. So yeah, it would have been better to go to Starmie. But, yeah, I did not, because the reasons I just gave. So, Sing, crit, soft-willed, and comes Lax again into Chansey. I'm like, oh ho ho, this is something I want to see, so I'm glad if he plays into it. So here comes Ice Beam on Reflect, and I'm like, alright, he's either not going to attack me at all, which means either he knows I have counter and he's not going to attack me at all, which just means I will Ice Beam him a million times and eventually freeze him, or he doesn't think I have counter and this is my best chance to use it. Either way, my best chance is to use counter here. Either he knows I don't have it, either he knows I have it and he's not going to attack me, or he doesn't know I don't have it and this is the time to kill, and that's exactly what happens. So, groovy. So, Zam comes in, and what I should have done here, I should have countered again, because if he T-Waves, then I counter the Snorlax damage again. That's how RBY counter works. So and he's going to T-Wave, I mean, of course. I mean, if he was being, careful that he would have used, Psychic or Seismic Toss. And, but, yeah, he was going to T-Wave there, and I should have countered again, just to see it happen. I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I mean, but... yeah, I did not counter there. I really regret it. I should have. I Soft-Boiled and said to be safe into Psychic or whatever. So yeah, now I'm just gonna try and freeze this thing and try to run it out of Psychics. So Chansey is doing amazing things, of course, because I can get the triple KO maybe. I sleep the Jinx, I counter the Snorlax, I freeze the Zam. But now it's doing dirty things. Now I go to my Starmie. I guess having more health on Starmie is nice for helping it absorb Zam better. So he's got a mid-game S-Toss Zam, not always the standard. Sometimes they run Reflect. So, yeah. Oh, and this is... I was not as careful as I should. I should have Soft-Willed it again there, but I Ice Beam, and he crits, and crits again, and I full Para. So, Dirty Mary is going down. I just let it go, so I So now that I don't have Chansey, which was a bit of an oversight, I mean, that was some bad luck, yes, but I could have been a lot more careful. So that's what I mean when RB was not a luck. Yeah, okay, that was bad luck. Yes, it was. But I could have been more careful. I should have soft-boiled it before. So at 72, like, are you kidding me? It's the danger zone. So, and he's not like he has infinite psychics either. I mean, I had more soft-boiled, and I'm way ahead, so I should have been way more careful. So that's the lesson. So I let Chansey go because there's no sense in taking needless damage on my other Pokemon. At this point, I'm just going to go to Snorlax and do more damage. And I see Cloyster. Okay, great. No Rhydon means my Zapdos and my Moltres, because yes, I have both, are going to go absolutely crazy. I wanted to use all three, but I couldn't figure out a way to do it without ditching Chansey, Snorlax, or Tauros, and I didn't want to do that, because I don't want to just get destroyed by Psychic moves. So, yeah, I wake up early, and Tauros comes in, and now Chansey comes in. I T-Wave it, which is fine, because I want to increase my odds of Zapdos breaking through it. So I get T-Waved. Okay, let me Psychic it and break through it. Full Para. Yeah, Psychic. A little bit of damage. That's cool. And it's a T-Bolt Chansey. That sucks. I should have not gotten greedy. I shouldn't have done that. And like, oh, I mean, what am I even doing here? Like, oh, maybe you'll Para. Yeah, maybe you'll Para, genius. No, just go to Snorlax. No. T-Bolt does more. I recover again. I think this next one crits or something. Yeah, and I full Para. Okay, fine. Yeah, so now I go to Lax, and I just Body Slam. At least it's not going to counter or reflect, so I should have just, you know, like, preserved the star, but it's fine. So now I Body Slam, and if the Cloyster wants to blow me up, I will take it because of my own Tauros. So, yeah, so I have a lot of threats remaining. So Cloyster rests, and here comes Bobby Altman, ready for his revenge. And I Agility because I think Jinx is going to come in on the Sleep Sack. And if Zam comes in, then I'm going to Drill Peck KO that too. So Bob Drill Pecks twice, and in comes Alakazam 3 times. Oh, and this is at the point where I asked the chat what everyone's favorite Robert Altman film was. And someone said MASH, and I thought that was funny. My favorites are Shortcuts, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, The Long Goodbye, Nashville, The Player, and Images. Images is very underrated. And but 3 Women is my favorite. I saw it in a theater last year. I was very excited. It was wonderful. So now I'm just going to try and mash my way through Chansey. Mash. And Drill Peck, yeah, doing Zapdos things. So this one is, Zapdos hasn't even taken damage yet. In comes Tauros. I just T-Wave, just play it safe. I'm faster because that's RBY mechanics. Actually, that's just regular mechanics. What am I even talking about? And I start using Agility. Why are you using Agility, Kev? Well, because I want to reveal my last Pokemon. That's why. And, yeah, that's basically it. I will let it speak for itself. But, yeah, Bobby did not want to die again. But, you know, at this point he realized it must happen. So, yeah, I go to Christian Petzold, whose 2014 film Phoenix I loved, and whose new film, A Fire, I also really enjoyed. So, that one works twice. So, yeah, I Fire Spin, I Fire Blast, and then I Hyper Beam just because I want to show off the moveset. And now I just Fire Blast this thing twice. So yeah, Moltres finishes things off. It's awesome. I should have brought Moltres 5 times. I really should have. Gen 5 Moltres is viable. Gen 4 Moltres is viable. So yeah, that's the series. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for, you know, wanting me to play Jimmy in the first place. And yeah, for tuning in and checking out my movie and all that jazz. Gotta plug all that jazz. Anyway, I should go respond to that text. Why'd it take you half an hour? Well, I was doing something important. What were you doing? Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, thanks once again. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.